Hello and welcome back to Too Many Books. My name is Sean, and today I'd like to talk to you about The Third Rule of Time Travel by Philip Fracassi. In addition to just talking about the book, I'm also going to showcase the two hardcover editions that are available in the world, the signed and numbered edition from Phantasia Press and the broken binding edition. I'll talk more about those editions after we're done talking about the novel itself. Just know that the artwork you're seeing in the Phantasia edition is courtesy of Francois Vaillancourt. So anyways, this is Philip Fracassi's science fiction novel, his first venture into the sci-fi territory after having plenty of horror novels and even more psychological novel and Don't Let Them Get You Down. And he presents a world with 3 rules for time travel. Rule 1, travel can only occur to a point within your lifetime. Rule 2, you can only travel for 90 seconds. And Rule 3, you can only observe. You cannot interact with the world that you are visiting via time travel. The rules cannot be broken. And it's a very interesting way of handling time travel. It's kind of similar to some respects to Flashback by Dan Simmons, but we don't want to talk about that novel. That was done with a drug. This was done with a machine and a little bit of science mumbo-jumbo that puts you back to relive some moment of your life up to 90 seconds. And you are just sitting in the passenger seat watching the world or watching this event go by over the course of 90 seconds. So for this novel, we follow Beth Darlow, a widowed scientist, single mother. She's now a single mother, widowed mother, I guess is probably the correct term for it. Her husband passed in a tragic car accident. He was also a fellow scientist. They had both been working on this time machine and this ability to time travel. And now Beth finds herself alone to raise her child and to continue exploring the possibilities of time travel as it continuously puts her back into traumatic events through her life for her to witness 90 seconds at a time. But even though the rules state that you can only observe and you can't actually interact with the time-traveled aspect of this novel, Beth Darlow soon discovers that the world around her is changing the more she travels. Could be little small changes, but about 50% through the novel, there's a pretty significant change to the world that occurs, and it becomes Beth Darlow's mission to then undo those changes and restore the order to the world that she had previously witnessed. I will say, it's a good novel. It's not bad. But unfortunately, being another novel by Philip Fracassi, it's hard not to compare it to his previous novels. And I will say that when compared to his prior works like Boys in the Valley, Serafina, and A Child Alone with Strangers, it's definitely on the weaker side. That's not to say that the novel itself is weak. It's actually still a very good science fiction read, but it just doesn't quite hold up, in my opinion, compared to the previous Fracassi titles. I mean, Peter from Boys in the Valley, the brothers from Serafina, Henry Thorne from A Child Alone with Strangers are all just fascinating protagonists, all who have immense depth as characters. And Beth Darlow, while she's still a decent character, she seems to kind of be built on stereotypes. I mean, she's not a shallow character per se, but there's not as much depth to her as there is in his prior protagonists. And unfortunately, whereas the other novels had a very strong plot line the entire way through. Child Alone with Strangers, right off the bat, after you get through the prologue, is about a kidnapping. Boys in the Valley is very clearly up front what it's about, with this sort of demonic possessions occurring in this orphanage. Even in Gothic, the author gets the desk within the early chapters. Unfortunately, the third rule of time travel does take a little bit before you get to that main central plot. As I mentioned, the major change that becomes the driving force for the remainder of the novel really doesn't occur until about the halfway point. So, I don't want to say it's an instance of too little, too late, because when you do get it, it's a very, very interesting story, and it's a very, very touching tale of her trying to get back to the world she knows. But I just kind of wish that had started prior. The first half of the novel is just kind of a lot of world building, a lot of setup, dealing with the CEO of the company, who's very much kind of a dirtbag who doesn't really care about the health and well-being of his employees as long as it makes him a buck, which, seems kind of cartoonishly evil, but I will admit I've known CEOs who are like that. It's just the actual central plot doesn't really pick up until halfway through. But like I said, all in all, it's still a very solid novel. It's just maybe not as good as his prior works, and it definitely leaves more to be desired in terms of Philip Fracassi in a science fiction atmosphere. If he writes another sci-fi novel, I will certainly be first in line to want to read it. It's not as much of a sci-fi classic as Boys in the Valley or Serafina are horror classics in their own making. But anyways, the third rule of time travel, still definitely worth picking up. Another instance, and I hate to say it because I hate comparing various novels, I think one of the reasons that I was disappointed reading this is that it did have a couple of connections to another novel that I absolutely loved, that being The Fold by Peter Clines. Now, The Fold and The Third Rule of Time Travel are very different stories. I mean, this deals with time travel as its main central focus point. The Fold dealt with an interdimensional fold between realities. Both of them do have central themes of scientists discovering that changes are happening to their world. I don't know, I felt like The Fold handled it better. It just had a deeper cast of characters. It started right off on the right foot. Whereas Third Rule of Time Travel was the weaker of the two, but it's still a solid novel in its own right. Definitely one worth checking out if you are a fan of Philip Fracassi. I mean, the prose is very well done, even though there might not be as much depth to the character, even though the storyline might take a little while to get going. Philip Fracassi still is a very strong writer to help bring it to its conclusion. Now, copies of The Third Rule of Time Travel are available in paperback from Orbit, wherever books are sold. But if you are in need of a hardcover edition, there are, I guess, technically 3 routes to go, but 2 of them are both from Phantasia Press. There is the Phantasia Press editions. This one that you see before you is the numbered edition. Very nice kind of silver cloth, almost a nice little shine to it. Very nice paper stock, printed in multiple colors throughout with the butterflies. And it does feature the full color artwork of Francois Vaillancourt. There's also a lettered edition, which was limited to 26 copies. Has the same innards as this one, but a full leather binding. Sold out within a minute, so that one's going to cost you a pretty penny on the secondary market. It also comes with a slipcase that matches the boards. Very, very nice quality. It's a bit on the pricier side compared to, just a regular trade edition, but you are getting a nicer quality book for that price. Believe it or not, though, that is actually not the rarest hardcover, excluding the lettered edition. The rarer version is still technically the broken binding edition. So the Phantasia one, 750 copies. Broken binding, only 500 copies. It did sell out pretty quickly. As far as quality goes, it's just a trade edition. It's nothing too fancy. It's a trade edition with red edges. But given that there is no trade hardcover release, this is going to be the closest to that trade hardcover quality that one would get. A little bit bigger font size because it's just the paperback edition blown up slightly to the hardcover proportions. But you'd have to find this on the secondary market. The Phantasia edition, on the other hand, is still available directly from the publisher. I will say I do actually prefer the trade artwork when it comes to the cover artwork. I just love the simplicity of it. Francois Vaillancourt's artwork is still very good. I do prefer his interiors to the cover art, if I'm being honest. The cover art, I do appreciate the whole Vitruvian man and the butterfly kind of flapping its wings aesthetic to it. And it's very much in line with almost an 80s style sci-fi cover, which is perfectly on brand for Phantasia Press, who was a huge publisher for limited editions back in the 80s. But I don't know, it just doesn't quite fit with the novel as well as it could, in my opinion. But I know some people absolutely love it, so it's really to each their own. But anyways, Third Rule of Time Travel, even though it might not be as strong as his previous novels, it's still definitely worth checking out. And like I said, there's trade copies available wherever books are sold. But anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel here. I do at least one book review a week with plenty of unboxing videos in between here and there. But check out The Broken Binding, check out Phantasia Press, and more importantly, check out Philip Fracassi, and we'll see you around next time.